The rebels brutally killed innocent children in a bomb blast. They were arrogant and assumed nobody can harm them. Until that one day when they messed with an old farmer, which costed them everything. Welcome back to Paramount Recapped. I don't have many subscribers, but your single comment is a ray of hope to motivate me. So, the movie kicks off way back in 1974 in Northern Ireland, and things are already tense. Two shady-looking fellas walk into a pub, clueless that they've just stepped into a deadly trap set by a sharp-minded woman named Wherein. She ain't alone. Her brother Curtis and their two partners in crime, Harry and Ron, are in on this risky setup. They've planted a bomb, all calculated and slick, waiting for it to go boom. But right before things go sideways, Wherein spots a bunch of school kids near the danger zone. Panic hits her, and she screams at them to run for their lives. But it's too late. The explosion rips through the place, taking out the two gangsters and, heartbreakingly, the kids too. The crew, Wherein, Curtis, Harry, and Ron, don't stick around to see the damage. They hop into their getaway, ride, and vanish, setting the tone for everything that follows. Now the focus shifts to this older guy named Murphy. He's the type that can handle a shotgun like it's second nature. He's having a bit of fun, competing with Vincent, a local cop, and showing off his aim. Murphy ends up winning, and the two chat about how crime's been crawling back into the area like a bad rash. Later that evening, Murphy heads into another pub, but this time he's not there to chill. He walks in with a photograph in hand, some guy's face circled. The person in the photo? A big-name singer named Bart, who just so happens to be performing at that very bar. As Bart does his thing on stage, wooing the crowd with his voice, Murphy's not clapping, he's scheming. Cut to Murphy driving down some hidden back road. Guess who's stuffed in his car trunk? Yep, Bart. Murphy makes him get out and forces him to start digging his own hole. They're in a secret graveyard of sorts, a creepy hillside where Murphy's past clients now permanently reside. Bart starts rambling about how he's tried to leave his rough life behind, claiming he's turned a new leaf. Murphy listens but doesn't buy it. With no hesitation, he pulls the trigger and adds another grave under the old, haunting tree. Turns out, Murphy's not just some grumpy old man. He's a contract killer, ice cold, and strictly business. After wrapping that up, he heads to his boss's place. Josie greets him like an old friend, even offering to whip up his favorite meal. Everything's cozy until a newbie named Kevin makes the mistake of snatching bread from Josie's basket. Murphy calls him out, clearly not a fan of young hotheads. Murphy then checks in with Robert, the guy calling the shots behind the scenes, and lets him know Bart's out of the picture. He even notices Kevin driving off and slyly suggests that maybe the kid should take over the next few jobs. Then out of nowhere, Murphy drops a bombshell. He's ready to call it quits. He's been dragging around grief since his wife passed, and he's finally ready to hang up his shotgun. He tells Robert that his wife always hoped he'd become a good man, maybe someone who grows tomatoes instead of digging graves. Robert's stunned, but doesn't push back. He pays Murphy and tells him to go find his peace. Murphy dives into this whole new life. He buys seeds, preps his land, and even starts making friends. He has a sweet dinner with a kind neighbor named Rita, where they swap stories and talk about the past. Things start to feel normal. During a walk through town, he bumps into a little girl named Moya fishing by a bridge. He helps her rig up her line with a piece of cloth and finds out she's hoping to catch dinner for her family. But then she drops her lunchbox in the river, and Murphy notices bruises on her neck. She bolts before he can ask questions, clearly hiding something. Concerned, Murphy hunts down her mom, Alara, who works as a bartender. He fesses up about distracting Moya and the lunchbox fiasco. Alara appreciates his honesty, and they have a nice chat. But that night, Murphy runs into Moya again outside the bar. She's scared, looks like she's planning to disappear. He reassures her he already told her mom everything, but she doesn't say a word and walks off, only to quietly follow him home. Back at Murphy's place, something feels off. Outside, waiting like a bad omen, is Curtis, the same Curtis from that bomb scheme ages ago. Yeah, things are about to get ugly. The next morning, Murphy drops off a basket of food for Moya and checks in on her with Alara. He brings up the bruises, and Alara, though quiet, slips him a bullet. Before she can explain more, Curtis barges in, barking for food and throwing shade at Murphy. Once he leaves, Murphy asks who the heck he is, and Alara confesses he's family through marriage and that she'd love nothing more than to see him gone. Murphy shows Robert the bullet and says he wants to deal with Curtis, mainly because of what he's doing to Moya. But Robert refuses to get involved. That doesn't stop Murphy. He starts tailing Curtis, waiting for the right time to strike. Eventually, Murphy offers Curtis a lift. They chat about guns and ammo, and Murphy casually mentions a rare bullet collection. He even shows Curtis a piece from the stash, luring him in. Then, he drives him deep into the woods with one thing in mind: revenge. But Curtis is no fool. He attacks Murphy with a knife. Murphy tries to shoot him, but his gun jams. Out of nowhere, Kevin shows up and takes Curtis out with a headshot. Turns out, Robert told Kevin to keep tabs on Murphy. So now, things are getting messy. They bury the body, and afterward, Murphy and Kevin hit a bar. Kevin's buzzing, saying he looks up to Murphy and brags about his own body count, calling Murphy's track record borderline legendary. But Murphy's not amused. He lays it down hard. Killing ain't a joke, and if Kevin ever disrespects the dead again, he'll break his nose. A couple days pass. Curtis doesn't show at the usual hangout, and Dwarian gets nervous. She drops by Alara's place, grilling her about where Curtis might be. Alara, already annoyed, says she doesn't know. Dwarian flips, snapping at her. Then she checks Curtis's gear and notices something that sets off alarm bells: a bullet missing from his gun. She makes a quick call to one of her shady business connections, hoping for some leads, and luckily, she gets a name, someone in the area who might point her in the right direction. So without wasting time, she heads over to a man named Robert's place to talk about her missing brother Curtis. But Robert's playing dumb. He acts like he has no clue who Curtis is and claims his crew can't do anything about it. Just as she's about to leave, something catches her eye. There's a bullet on the floor, and it looks like a perfect fit for the empty chamber in her revolver. That's all she needs. She whips out her gun and demands the truth from Robert. Backed into a corner, Robert finally spills it. Murphy killed Curtis a few days ago. That hits her like a truck. She doesn't say much. She just pulls the trigger and ends Robert right then and there. His wife, Josie, hears the shot and comes rushing into the room, freaking out. But Dwarian turns the gun on her too and calmly tells her that her husband's dead, so she better go back to her room and stay out of it. Josie, terrified, listens and backs off. Now that her brother's dead and she knows who did it, Dwarian's filled with rage. She rallies her crew, and they're all in for one thing: payback. They want Murphy, and they'll tear the town apart if they have to. Meanwhile, Murphy and Kevin get the news from Josie. She's a mess, but they calm her down and promise to take care of everything. Josie tells them some woman came around earlier, super aggressive, asking a ton of questions about Curtis. That's when it clicks for them. Curtis's people want revenge. Not wanting to leave any trails, Murphy and Kevin scrub their records clean, get rid of any future plans, and tell Josie to call the police, just in case things blow up even more. Back in town, Dwarian is getting more desperate by the minute. She's trying to track down Murphy, but he's hard to find. So she sends Harry into a local store, pretending to be Murphy's nephew. The shopkeeper falls for it and gives away Murphy's real address. Bingo. But things go sideways fast. Sheriff Vincent runs into Harry and isn't buying his story. He gets suspicious about Harry's connection to Murphy. Still, Dwarian and her crew manage to make it to Murphy's house. They snoop around and stumble upon some old photos from his time in the war. It's clear this guy's been through hell. At the same time, Murphy's on his way home and suddenly gets that gut feeling that something's off. He tells Kevin to pull over, and they sit back, watching the house from a distance. While they're laying low, Kevin opens up. He tells Murphy about his own messed up path, how he ran away, got into a bar brawl, and caught Robert's attention, which landed him the gig. Murphy shares his own backstory too. He talks about how war hardened him, and when his wife died, he just spiraled. That's when Robert swooped in and turned him into a hired gun. There's a shared understanding between the two now, like they're both just products of bad timing and worse choices. Next morning, Dwarian realizes Murphy isn't showing. She's furious and takes it out by smashing up his car. Kevin sees the whole thing and nearly goes full trigger happy, but Murphy stops him from doing anything stupid. Then Rita, their neighbor, walks by and throws a snide remark. Big mistake. Dwarian snaps and punches her right in the face before storming off with her crew. Murphy and Kevin rush to help Rita. They get her inside and call for an ambulance, staying anonymous so nobody connects the dots. Later, while chilling at Kevin's place, Murphy finds an old burned-up newspaper about a bombing in Belfast. That piques his interest. He heads into town and buys a fresh copy. His eyes widen. There they are. Dorian, Curtis, and the rest of their gang listed as suspects in that very bombing. So they're not just some angry family. They've got a long history of chaos. Murphy pieces together their likely hideout, where they've been stockpiling a ridiculous amount of explosives. Then, he finds out they're going to a football game. Everyone's going, including the crew he's trying to stay ahead of. While there, Ron, the brains of Dorian's squad, realizes their faces are all over the newspaper. Panic spreads among the team. Some of them are thinking about skipping town, but Dorian's not having it. She wants Murphy's head on a stick. During all the game day chaos, Murphy spots Dorian and starts trailing her as she heads to the restroom. But plot twist, she sneaks up behind him and shoves a gun in his back. It's a standoff, and Murphy doesn't deny anything. He says he didn't pull the trigger on Curtis, but knows who did. She gives him a deal. Bring the real killer to the bar that night, or she'll light the whole place up. As evening rolls around, Murphy and Kevin go over the plan. Murphy confesses he's planning to take Dorian out for good. Kevin seems weirdly excited, like this is the action he signed up for. They reach the bar, and Kevin brings his gear, ready for anything. But Murphy hands him a big wad of cash and tells him to get out of this life before it eats him alive. Kevin is genuinely touched, not expecting this kind of generosity. Inside the bar, Murphy makes small talk with Sheriff Vincent. When Vincent asks about his job, Murphy gives a vague answer, hinting that it's the kind of gig best left unexplained. He then locks eyes with Dorian and walks over. At the same time, Ron strolls in with a shady-looking bag, clearly up to no good. Outside, Vincent's having a smoke when he notices Harry sitting in a beat-up car. That's enough to set his cop instincts buzzing. Back inside, he also catches sight of Ron and that suspicious bag. Murphy tries to lure Dorian outside for a chat, but she's too smart for that. She warns him that if he tries anything funny, she'll shoot him right there. Then out of nowhere, Kevin walks in, pretending he's got a thing for Dorian. She brushes him off, but then he casually drops her name and flat out confesses. He's the one who killed Curtis, and he brags about it. That sets her off. She shoots him in the gut without hesitation. The bar goes nuts. People dive for cover as a full-on gunfight breaks out. Outside, Vincent discovers the bomb in Ron's bag, but then Harry ambushes him. Inside, Kevin manages to shoot Dorian while Murphy blasts Ron. Things are absolute chaos. Murphy catches Harry before he can blow the place sky high and finishes him off. As Kevin's fading fast, he tells Murphy to go to California and live a peaceful life. But before he can say much more, Dorian, despite being shot, makes one last lunge and kills him. Murphy, now fuming, pushes past Ron, kills him too, and chases Dorian to a church. There, she drops all the tough talk and confesses she's tired of running, tired of guilt. She begs Murphy to end it. He's ready to give her a quick death, but before he can pull the trigger, she bleeds out on her own. Murphy buries her in the woods and marks her grave with a tree, just like the others. Then he goes to Rita to apologize for not being honest about who he was. Rita, being the kind soul she is, says he doesn't owe her any stories. He thanks her and walks off into a new life, leaving the ghost behind, or at least trying to. And hey, if you enjoyed this crazy ride, hit that like button. If you didn't, no hard feelings, just go ahead and hit that dislike button twice, to be sure. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more wild stories just like this one.